Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Yard podcast with your hosts, Collin and Braeden Cox. And NFL Week 1 is officially over, so Braeden and I are going to give you our reaction right here in the Yard. I'm going to give you some Packers overview, Bengals overview, and a little bit in between, and some of our hot takes and our overreactions from Week 1. So, Braeden, repping the Packers shirt, I noticed when we first hopped on here. Big win for your Packers. I think love is in the air, as they're saying, right? How you feeling?
Love is in the air. I want to know what love is. You know, it's very exciting, but I'm not overly confident at this point yet because it is 1 week and it is the Chicago Bears. We have to remember this is the Chicago Bears we're talking about. But it was still a huge win, you know. For him to go 15-27, 245 yards and 3 touchdown passes. And the big thing here is no interceptions and 1 sack.
There you go.
1 sack. So he was getting rid of the ball. He was calm, cool, and collected in the pocket. He wasn't really making any arrogant throws or anything. I loved it. I loved what I saw. You know, we got the Atlanta Falcons coming up next week. So
game.
Yeah, so that's a more competent opponent, I guess you could say. I think the Atlanta Falcons are probably a little bit better than Chicago Bears. But then the following week they got New Orleans, and I think that's their first true test of how good is this team. Because if you start the season 3-0, you're looking real good.
Yeah, even if they start at 2-0, it's huge.
Yeah.
Especially if you win the games that you need to. Are they on the road against Atlanta?
They're at Atlanta, and then their first home game is New Orleans.
Okay, nice. All right, so home opener's not till week 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Packers are looking good. Unlike my Cincinnati Bengals. Braeden, you called this last episode.
I did.
You said you could see the Browns definitely beating Cincinnati. And honestly, I wasn't opposed. I was like, Bengals do struggle against the Browns, especially in Cleveland. We saw it last year and the year before when Baker was there. And it just was a tough watch. Couldn't get anything going on offense. Looked like they had no game plan. I know some people say the conditions were bad, but they lost a game. They just looked horrible. Not much to say. I'm not worried at all. I know last year they had a really slow start. They lost to the Steelers and the Cowboys with Cooper Rush week 1 and week 2, and then they turned it around after that.
And they were in the AFC Championship game. So
yeah, so I'm not worried. I think it's just going to be super tough. You just have to win the games now because that AFC is so tough now, especially with we'll get into this later, but also honestly, I think I have high hopes for the Dolphins. I've been riding high with them, but we'll get into that a little later. So yeah, Bengals didn't play great. Baltimore comes into Cincinnati this Sunday in week 2, so hopefully they get things going there, and then that's a good test is to see how they bounce back there.
Yeah. So, and I'm with you with Cincinnati. Don't panic, right? Joe Burrow had that calf injury. They didn't look good. Chubb went off. Chubb had a great game. And, I don't have Cleveland making the playoffs, but I think they're going to be a respectful team this year. You know what I mean? I think you're going to have to look at a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, who was arguably a few years ago a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And Nick Chubb is still a beast. The defense is good, clearly. I mean, they only gave up 3 points. But it's definitely there's no reason to panic. It's just if you go 0-2 or 0-3, that's when the panic kind of sets in because the AFC is so good. If you were playing in the NFC, right, I'd be like, you're chilling, right? But now you got a lot of reputable teams in the AFC. I look at, I didn't pick them to make the playoffs, but the Dolphins look real good. You can't count out the Chargers. Jacksonville, Baltimore, you know what I mean? There's a lot of teams at play here. So just hope you don't start 0-2 and 0-3. And when you got Baltimore coming to town, we'll see. But Joe Burrow will turn it around. I'm not worried. Don't worry about Joe Burrow. You got that new contract.
Yeah,
give him a week. Give him 2 weeks, whatever. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not worried in the slightest about my Bengals. Yeah, like you said, if it gets 0-2 and 0-3, then it's a different story. But full confidence that they could bounce back. Last year they started 0-2 and I think they finished 12-4 or
that's
12
the
thing. No, I think they finished 13-4 last year.
That's what I'm saying.
After starting 0-2.
Yeah.
So
you don't really have much to worry about. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess that'll lead us into the biggest news probably from this first week of the NFL. Happened last night on Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers' first drive of his Jets career goes down with an injury, and this morning he is ruled officially out for the season. Obviously, tough break for the Jets. Doesn't seem to end for them. Just super sucks because they're actually going to be exciting to watch this year with Rodgers. They still won the game yesterday without him for basically the entirety of the game, beating Josh Allen and the Bills. So what is your reaction to the Aaron Rodgers news, and what does this mean for the Jets going forward?
So a couple of things, right? The Jets may have won the battle, but they most certainly lost the war. And they lost the war 2-3 minutes into the game yesterday. And it's a shame. And as a Packers fan and watching Aaron Rodgers all those years, knowing he's 39 years old, I was genuinely upset. You know what I mean? Because you see players get injured all the time, right? But to see him, even though he departed from my team, go and seem actually genuinely happy and excited, participating in all the preseason stuff, and to have it kind of all like end so quick is just like, it's almost like it doesn't feel real yet. You know what I mean? It's just, it's such a shame. And I feel terrible for Jets fans because they've been waiting for literally this moment for decades. You know what I mean? Like the last time they were relevant was like the Mark Sanchez days, really. And then they get their first moment, on 9/11, Rodgers comes running out with the flag. It was like the perfect setting, right? And for it to just come crumbling down it was very disheartening. And I genuinely do feel bad because to me, they might still be a playoff team. They still won a good number of games last year. But, dude, at the end of the day, when you're in the AFC and it's a quarterback-centric league, unless you make an insane splash and you make a trade for someone that, just isn't on my radar, to me, the season's kind of over. And I hate to be like that, but when you play in the AFC, Zach Wilson's not going to be able to contend with a Mahomes or a Burrow. It's a shame.
Right. I think you hit the nail on the head there. And then I just want to give my little tidbit. It just sucks also for many reasons, but then one of them is they gave up so much just to get Rodgers, and then first drive of the game he goes down. So it sucks. I think as a fan, every fan in the league except for maybe the Dolphins, Patriots, and Bills fans hated to see Rodgers go down there.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day,
they were going to be exciting to watch.
You hate to see any player get hurt, but that one almost hit a little different, especially, obviously for Jets fans, but for someone like me who I literally grew up, ever since I was can remember watching football, I was watching Aaron Rodgers. For him to depart, go to the Jets, and actually seem excited. I was happy for him, and a lot of Packers fans might not feel that way, but I was happy for him because it was, it wasn't the greatest of, departures, but, I was content, and for it to see it kind of, implode on itself, it was just, it sucks, and I feel bad for Jets fans out there, and I feel bad for Rodgers because he's 39, and who knows, it's a huge rehabilitation process, mentally and physically. It's tough, so we'll see.
Right. Yeah, is it even worth going through all that for just one season? And he's going to be higher risk of injury next year.
Exactly.
So we'll see how it plays out. Sucks. The Aaron Rodgers news, obviously not the best news of the week. And then I guess from there, I think you want to get into a little bit of the other games from week one.
Yeah, I think a good segue, and we'll just bounce through a few teams here as we talked about the Jets, but let's talk about how the Buffalo Bills looked last night, because to me, there's a lot of red flags there. There's a lot of red flags there. Josh Allen, gunslinger, but he's kind of a mess. You know what I mean? He turns the ball over a lot. I read something today that, in all the games he's played in his NFL career, regular season, right? He averages 1.2 turnovers a game, which is a lot in the grand scheme of things. And then last night he was just kind of the two deep ball interceptions were I was just kind of what? What are you doing? And to me, he's the reason they lost, right? Because you got Zach Wilson on the other side of the ball. That should be a gimme at that point. Offensively, like defensively, they might match up well. I think the Bills probably have the better defense at the end of the day, especially when Von Miller comes back. But like, I was shocked. I was like, I can't believe the Jets are in this game, Josh. Like, this is a freebie,
right,
on the road.
I mean, the Jets defense is very good. I will give that to them. But yeah, I think it 3 interceptions last night.
Yeah, a lot of people
which is unacceptable.
A lot of people were picking the Bills to beat the Jets with Rodgers.
Right.
And then Zach Wilson comes in the game. He had no idea. Do you think he walked into that stadium think he'd be playing a single snap that night? Absolutely not. So for him to come into the game 4 snaps in and still beat you, it's like kind of embarrassing. And for the rest of the AFC, you as a Bengals fan, I would be like a little like, not like excited, but like, okay, like that might be one less person we really need to worry about, even though they're still a good team. Like you can almost definitively say or confidently say, I think my team is better than the Bills. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, that's a good point. And I guess we'll stay on the AFC East side of things.
Sure.
My takeaway from the weekend is the Dolphins' big win over the Chargers. Tua, I think he had like 466 yards passing, 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
And then I think Tyreek had 2 of those touchdowns.
Tyreek had a couple touchdowns, 215 yards himself.
So yeah, I was running high with the Finns. I knew last year they were really close. They were really close to just clicking, and then Tua went down, obviously, then couldn't really bounce back. So I've been saying all offseason, if Tua is healthy, they're going to be a very dangerous team. Defense, obviously, a little shaky, letting up, what was the final score, like 35-38 or something?
It was 36-34.
36-34. So, yeah, defense, a little shaky. I know Justin Herbert and the Chargers have a great offense, too. But, yeah, I think the AFC East now, all the teams are 0-1 except for the Dolphins. No. So, I think it's going to be the Dolphins' division to lose. As you saw the Bills, they didn't play really well. Yeah. Jets with Rodgers going down, and then Miami, I think, is in New England Sunday night, week 2. And they're favored by 2.5. So if they can start off 2-0 and then slow start for those other teams in the AFC East, I think they'll be in pretty good shape after 2 weeks.
Yeah. So the reason when in our last video we did we ranked our or who we predicted to make the playoffs in the AFC and the NFC, and I actually left Miami out for one reason, and I still am going to hold true to that, and that's because they have, I believe, the second toughest schedule in the NFL. Right. I think Tyreek and having Jalen Waddle on either side of the ball is disgusting. There's no real way you can stop it. And Tyreek might be the scariest wide receiver we've ever seen in the NFL because he beats everybody. It's it's crazy to think that it's crazy to think that Mahomes had him. Just thinking back on that, it's like, dude, Tua's throwing his ball and Tua's got a gun himself. But holy cow, watching these guys play. It's crazy, but at the end of the day, I look at it as they do have a tough schedule. They're going to go to New England Sunday night. People are going to be watching them. The world's going to be kind of watching them because if they can go in there and beat them good, I don't count out Bill Belichick ever, especially at home against a division opponent. But we'll see. I mean, they got to go to Buffalo, or they got to play Buffalo twice. They got Philadelphia. They got Kansas City. Dallas, they got a 3-game stretch where they got to end the season. They got to do Dallas, Baltimore, Buffalo to end the season. That's tough. That's real tough at this point in time. That could be 3 L's right there. We don't know, but I don't blame you for being on the Dolphins train. I just think the Bills are going to kind of figure it out. The Jets are kind of a wash at this point. I don't know if I could even definitively pick them to make the playoffs, but I'm still gonna ride with Buffalo, even though I like the trio they got in Miami.
Cool. And then I think you said you also wanted to go over the Cowboys Giants, the big Cowboys win over the Giants in Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, and this is real quick. The Giants were a pathetic joke. They had that one good first drive and they went all the way down the field, went to kick a field goal, and then Dallas returned it for a touchdown once they blocked it. It was over after that point. I mean, Dak didn't even have to do anything. to fact that you can put up 40 points and hold the other team to 0 points and literally and throw under 150 yards and not throw a single touchdown pass is like insanely impressive defense. They're probably the best defense in the NFL, I would say, right now. I still don't necessarily trust Dak, kind of like Josh Allen at this point. But yeah, I mean, as far as the G-men, like, figure it out. You got to figure it out.
No,
they look because you did not look good.
They don't have the talent. I thought it was a bad move signing Daniel Jones for all that money.
I agree.
They almost didn't reach a deal with Saquon. O-line looked bad. Defense looked bad. They just looked like Cowboys were just that much better. And honestly, I don't think the Cowboys are even that good of a team. So I don't know. I'm not saying the G-men can't turn around, but they definitely not.
You got Dallas. You got Dallas and Philadelphia
year
in your division. I think both those teams are definitively better than you.
Right. Like there's no imagine Giants playing a team like the 49ers.
Yeah.
Or the Eagles.
That's what I'm saying.
I think it could get ugly quick.
So just real quick. So the Dallas kind of has a toss up this week. They got the Jets. You know what I mean? Like it depends how well Dak plays. I mean, they're playing Zach Wilson, so they should beat them. But at the end of the day, I still believe that the Jets have a good team. They're just missing, the focal point of it. But the Giants, so this week the Giants are going to go to Arizona. They should win that game. But then their next 4 games are at San Francisco, home against Seattle, at Miami, at Buffalo.
Yeah.
That's tough. That
sounds like 1-3 to me.
Yeah, if even. The way they looked last night, that's 4 L's.
Right.
Seattle, I guess Seattle lost. That's probably their best shot, but that's Monday Night Football. I don't trust them. I'd say that's 0-4 right there. So if you lose all 4 of those games, you're not making the playoffs.
Yeah. There you go.
The only other team we'll just talk about real quick.
One more. Yeah,
this will be the last one because we went through a lot of the AFC there. The Detroit Lions over the Kansas City Chiefs.
Thursday night, right.
What a performance. Dan Campbell, a lot of ballsy plays. I loved it. Even as a Packers fan, watching it, I really enjoyed it. But Kansas City, they got Chris Jones back on the defense. That's their focal point on defense. So I'm not worried about them defensively. And quite honestly, if Kadarius Toney doesn't tip that ball up and Detroit run back for a touchdown, Kansas City only gives up 14 points defensively. So they look good defensively.
Right.
And, I don't expect Kelsey to be out super long. He got the hyperextension of his knee. If he misses a few weeks, so be it. If you go 2-2, so be it. Think long term, they're going to be just fine. But I think the Lions are definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with because even though Kansas City had a few wounds on their team, I mean Jared Goff kind of just gets it done. The defense, they've got dogs on their defense, and their coach, they buy into that coach. I haven't seen he's a member of that team, legit. And I know that's tossed around a lot, but I don't know, Dan Campbell, he's got something going on in Detroit, and it's going to be special.
You saw the potential in Detroit. I feel like the second half of last season.
Yeah, they got really hot.
The first half they were losing, but a lot of close games. They just couldn't get over that hump a little bit, and then the second half of the season started winning a little more, got a little hot, and then just missed the playoffs. In week 18, I think it was, they were eliminated. So yeah, I think the Lions are going to be. Obviously, I think we both had them winning the North this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're going to be a solid team overall. I don't think it's overreaction to say that they look really good.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're definitely buying into Dan Campbell's system in Detroit, and I think it's going to be good football from here on out with them.
I agree, and they got another test. They're home openers against Seattle, and Seattle didn't win this week. I'm still high up on the Seahawks. I think they're going to figure it out. But that's another test. And if you can start the season 2-0 and your 2 wins are against Kansas City and Seattle, that's something. You got something. Right? And then you get Atlanta, you got Green Bay, Carolina, Tampa. There's a couple, to me, they should beat Atlanta, they should beat Carolina, and they should beat Tampa. They should beat those teams. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think Green Bay could give them problems, definitely. I think they might split with Green Bay. But then, I still think that they're probably right now probably the 2 seed.
Nice.
I'd
and
say
then, so
go ahead.
So you're not really high up on the 49ers after their performance this week?
I am. I almost am kind of biting my words. I almost wish I picked San Francisco, but I am going to hold true to my Seattle pick.
Okay, I respect that.
But San Francisco looked damn good too. Damn good.
Right.
And, I think the Pittsburgh offense just wasn't – there was a lot of hype I felt going into it, and I think it was – like, a lot of people were picking Pittsburgh to win that game, but that was obviously before we knew the status of George Kittle and Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa signed that deal back on that defense, no problem.
Right.
But Brendan Ayuk, and then you got Christian McCaffrey. It's the real reason why I didn't pick San Francisco before the season start was the questions with Brock Purdy. Can he replicate, even to some extent, what he did last year? And Pittsburgh's a good team, but I want to see him play Seattle, right? I want to see him play just throw some teams up that are on their schedule, right? I want to see them play the division opponents. They're going to wipe the floor with Arizona. They're going to play Dallas. They're going to play Cleveland. They're going to play Cincinnati. Let me see you play those teams. I want to see Brock Purdy beat a team like Cincinnati or Dallas. You know what I mean? I trust the team. I don't necessarily.
I'm all aboard.
Go ahead.
I'm all aboard on the Brock Purdy. I feel like he's proved himself. Steelers, they're definitely not a joke of a defense, especially with the whole offseason to prepare with Mike Tomlin. But then he just picked their whole offense apart, and the defense made and they made the Steelers look like not the Steelers.
They did.
Usually, Mike Tomlin at least draws up a great game plan. Even though the talent for the Steelers isn't there like the 49ers.
Yeah.
But usually Mike Tomlin would find a way to keep it close. Just be scrappy, give different looks on defense. But he had no answers for Brock Purdy or the 49ers. And I think that also goes with Kyle Shanahan and the overall
100%.
talent of the 49ers. And then with that pass rush, if you have a good pass rush, you'll cause problems for any quarterback.
Yeah. And I think Pittsburgh will figure it out because, I picked them as the 7th seed. After that performance Sunday, right? But I think Tomlin will figure it out. But, Kenny, and I know he's only in his 2nd year, and we probably shouldn't be as tough on him, right? But, if Kenny can't figure it out, right, they're not going to go anywhere, right? Because it doesn't matter how talented their defense is. They can go 500 all they want. They're not going to make the playoffs in the AFC going 500.
Right.
You know what I mean? With teams like Miami, Buffalo, and up until the season, obviously until last night, the Jets. You know what I mean? That's 3 teams right there, and that's not counting Cincinnati or Kansas City. So it's tough.
Right.
I think they'll figure it out. Will they be a playoff team? I might bite that, but I'm still going to roll with them because, Tomlin's on, kind of at the helm there.
Yeah, cool. I think it about wraps it up for everything I had to say. Cool. All right, yeah, thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, your takes from Week 1 NFL. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, so you will be notified whenever we post a video. I think that wraps it up.
Yeah,
thank you for
we're
listening.
good. Go Pack, go Yanks. No baseball this episode, but go Yanks.
Who dey, go Yanks. Who dey, Yanks. Go Pack, go.
All right, good night, guys.